In the late 1960s, America was on fire. 1965, Malcolm X was assassinated. Civil rights protesters were beaten on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. 28,000 people marched from Selma to Montgomery. Allegations of police brutality led to rioting that killed 34 people in Watts. 1966, the Black Panther Party was founded. 67, riots broke out in major cities around the country. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King announced the Poor People's Campaign, which included all races and religions. 1968, Dr. King was assassinated. Robert Kennedy was assassinated. In the midst of all of this, Louis Armstrong recorded a song that became a worldwide hit single. It was about beauty and the power of friendship. Raise your hand if you know What a Wonderful World. Let's sing together just the third verse with our pianist, Maciel Bouzam. And I can't carry a tune, so I really need you to help me. The colors of the rainbow. The colors of the sky are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. What a great vision. When asked about recording such an optimistic song in such a dark time, Armstrong said, it ain't the world that's so bad, but what we're doing to it. And all I'm saying is, see what a wonderful world it would be if we'd only give it a chance. Today, we bring East Metro faith communities together to give our world a chance. We're living in our dark time. Race discrimination, colonization, global warming, women's rights around the world, poverty. But if Louis Armstrong could hold on to that vision in 1967, and if people of faith could build beloved communities throughout history, surely today we can imagine and build a community in which we really see and respond to each other's humanity. Let's focus for a moment on poverty. We keep hearing about good jobs reports, but what does that really mean in people's lives? And what do those jobs pay? Let's look at the lives of the thousands of our neighbors and even our coworkers who have jobs, but they're low-wage jobs. Barbara Ehrenreich died last month. The author of Nickel and Dimed, Miss Ehrenreich took low-wage jobs around the country, including here in the Twin Cities, to see what it's like to make it on low wages. She found it nearly impossible to subsist, those are her words, on her wages as a hotel housekeeper, a house cleaner, a nursing home aide, a Walmart associate, etc. She said in her 2018 acceptance speech for the Erasmus Prize, many people have praised me for my bravery for having done this, to which I could only say, millions of people do this kind of work every day for their entire lives. Haven't you noticed them? She concludes her book by explaining, when someone works for less pay than she can live on, She has made a great sacrifice for you. The working poor are, in fact, the major philanthropists in our society. They neglect their own children so that the children of others will be cared for. They live in substandard housing so that other homes will be shiny and perfect. They endure privation so that inflation will be low and stock prices will be high. To be a member of the working poor is to be an anonymous donor, a nameless benefactor to everyone. We all want to live in the world described in Louis Armstrong's song. It's a connected, concerned, joyful, generous world. But strangely, it seems like it's going to take a lot of work to get there. Here's my question to you. Who should lead that work? Look at us. We're a room full of people who care about faith. We read faith texts. We care about our houses of worship. We pray. Our languages and alphabets of prayer may differ, but for all of us, the prayers and meditations that we hold dear tell us we should be there for others. Here's just a smattering of what we say in Christian, Muslim, and Jewish prayer. The bread in your cupboard belongs to the hungry. The coat unused in your closet belongs to the one who needs it. Treat with kindness orphans and those in need, and practice regular charity. We keep faith with those who sleep in the dust. In most, if not all, of our faith traditions, abiding poverty is an offense to God. When Louis Armstrong sings, I see friends shaking hands, saying, "How do you do?" He's actually, no, it's perfect. He's actually telling us, Louis Armstrong is actually telling us how to take the first step of bringing faith to life. To start, let's see each other. Let's greet each other. Let's ask how each other is really doing. And after we take that step, what's the next step? Here's Interfaith Action's answer. We equip your houses of worship to engage in community, doing tried and true, effective work to boost the stability and economic mobility of our neighbors. In a few minutes, you'll see a video that will give you a window into some of this work. The video celebrates the 70th anniversary of our Department of Indian Work, or DIW, and the 25th anniversary of Project Home. What an amazing set of accomplishments. Can we just take a second and give the dedicated staff of those programs a hand? And by the way, we really need more volunteers at Project Home right now. Please see Phil. Phil, raise your hand. Where are you? He's in the lobby. Okay, well, he'll introduce himself later. Please see Phil if you're interested. If those two programs were our entire body of work, it would be impressive. But the fact is, we do even more. We also host a life-changing free legal clinic at Progressive Baptist Church with Southern Minnesota Regional Legal Services, or SMERLS, and the Twin Cities Jewish Lawyers Group, the Cardozo Society. We also host clergy civic engagement sessions. 900 people in 25 faith communities statewide are finishing an amazing year of study and dialogue with Minnesota Commissioner of Public Safety, John Harrington. We analyzed our sacred text to glean and share with the commissioner insight about how Minnesota can remake policing. And of course, we engage your congregations through our Opportunity St. Paul, the volunteer engagement program that connects you to DIW, to Project Home, and also to other carefully vetted critical work in our community. So that's what we're doing. But what are we asking of you? Today we're asking you to be part of a big plan. We're putting a challenge out there. We're asking everyone in our faith and spiritual communities to do their part to build out this wonderful world vision right here. That might sound daunting, and you might be asking, but what's my part? Me, Joel Greenwald. Me, Cheryl Brady. Me, Brenda Burnside. Now, as it turns out, all three of these people are already doing their parts. Each in their own way is an opportunity champion. Joel, a physician and successful financial planner, tutors 2 children each Tuesday morning with reading partners. Cheryl, who's retired, does job coaching 4 hours a week at Daily Work. Brenda works with the Ramsey County Attorney's Office to help identify the criminal cases that we can resolve using restorative practices instead of prosecution and incarceration. And my guess is that most of you in this room are opportunity champions. What do we mean by that phrase coined by my colleague David Dodson? Here it is. My kids tell me that we all make hundreds or thousands of decisions each day, and our character is an amalgam of those decisions. Coke or Pepsi, stairs or elevator. Hold the door open for the person behind you or not. Opportunity champions are people who have an unusually high rate of using their decision points to create opportunity for others. Here's a story about one opportunity champion. How many of you know Chris Tolbert? He's the St. Paul City Council member who represents Ward 3, which includes Project Home at the Provincial House. Chris works hard to make our community a better place, including work to strengthen Project Home. One day, when I had a chance to listen to a list of some of Chris's many work projects, I asked him, how did you become that guy? Chris has a kind of deadpan style. Without missing a beat, acting like the meaning of the statement he was about to say would be obvious, Chris said, Bruce Beneke was my football coach at Central. This story is actually not about Chris, it's about Bruce. Bruce is here with us today. Bruce, will you wave? For decades, Bruce was the executive director of legal aid at SMERLS. Bruce is a guy who's always focused on making opportunity for others. He moves the ball forward for countless others in the courthouse, at the legislature, in line at Kowalski's, and on the football field. Chris said that once Bruce coached you, he followed you for life, making sure you keep doing good. It's like Bruce is St. Paul's Ted Lasso. Like Bruce, and like all the people Bruce has coached at Central, and like Joel, and like Cheryl, and like Brenda, opportunity champions have helped make the wonderful world vision possible for many families in the East Metro. But we need a lot more opportunity champions. How do we recruit? How do we make building opportunity cool? How do we start a movement? Which brings me to this pin. You all have this pin at your spot. Here's the idea. If you're engaged in any of Interfaith Action's work to build opportunity, please put this pin on now. I want to see people putting on the pin. If you volunteer at DIW, if you volunteer at Project Home, if you help out in Legal Clinic, if you volunteer at any of our Opportunity St. Paul partners, if you serve on our board of directors, if you plan to do any of these things, please put this pin on now. If you do work that builds opportunity through some other organization or effort, that's great. Please put this pin on now. Get more of these pins from our office. Amy has a box in the back. Give them to all your friends who do the same. Let's build a culture in which getting dressed in the morning for a meeting, or for church or synagogue or other worship, or for work at the legislature, always includes putting on the pin. You wouldn't want to be seen without it. Do you remember before recycling? Now everyone knows they should recycle. Let's build that same culture around really seeing our neighbors and building opportunity. And let's make this pin say, I'll hold the door open for you. I'm an opportunity champion. I'm bringing my faith to life. I'm doing my part. My faith community is doing its part to make this a wonderful world. Thanks.